Alright, y'all. So I've been doing semen retention or just talking about semen retention for a while now. And I realized that that wasn't the intent of this journey. That wasn't the intent of this channel. That wasn't the intent of why I started doing this. I actually started doing this because I wanted this to be more of a journal. I wanted this to be something that I just come here and I speak freely, and it's more of me expressing myself, expressing how I feel, expressing what I go through, expressing just different things. And if it resonates with you, it resonates. But this is really a journal for me, and I realized that I want to talk more about the things that I'm going through instead of just the semen retention and the simple things. I want to talk about more broader things. I want to talk about my life. I want to make this a real journal. And I'm still going to talk on certain topics or points that, people want to hear about and things of that nature, but this is my journal and I'm going to treat it like that. So, with all that being said, I just want to talk about my semen retention journey. I'm going to talk about the whole journey since when I first started to now. When I first started semen retention, I forgot how I even got caught up on semen retention. I started semen retention probably 5 years ago, but I think I seen it online. I seen it in, no, I'm lying. I read it in Think and Grow Rich. I remember reading it in Think and Grow Rich, and then after I read it, I started seeing more videos on semen retention. So I indulged, and at first I started doing semen retention because I just thought it was like something that I needed to do, because at the time I was releasing all the time, and I was drinking, I was just partying every night, not every weekend, every single night. And I was just living a life as like a degenerate. And I realized that if I didn't switch up, life was gonna catch up to me. So I started to just do different things to build myself, and that was one of the things that I started to do. I started to do semen retention. But at first it was, I'm not even gonna sit here and cap. When I first started doing semen retention, it was one of the hardest things ever. Like, I couldn't even get through a couple of hours. I remember I couldn't even get through a couple of hours. So now for me to be doing months and weeks, and it's a great accomplishment, especially where I came from. But let's go back to the story. And when I first started, I couldn't even it was that bad. It was bad, y'all. When I say bad, I mean I'm releasing 3, 4, 5 times a day. And that was probably like after. It was times where I was wilding, like probably, I think I did like 10 times a day one time. But I realized that I had to try to stop doing that, because that was something that I didn't want to do. And at that time, I was just trying to eliminate, not even trying to, I was eliminating a lot of things that was holding me back. I cut off red meat. I stopped eating beef. I stopped eating pork. I stopped eating all type of red meat. I stopped drinking. After I read Think and Grow Rich, I stopped drinking. So I'm like, yo, it's a way I gotta figure out how to stop this shit, because I was too caught up in lust. Then I started really getting into, I would say, my religious bag. I'm gonna say that. I would start really getting into my religious bag, just really getting into God and learning about God and reading the Bible and just, going hard in my religious path. So it was a time where I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this because it's the right thing to do. Doing it, and that helped me even more too. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. that kept me from doing 1 day to doing like 5 days or 7 days, or I started getting better and better and better and better and better. And that's because I was reading the Bible. I said, I'm reading the Bible, I'm on my day, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta get this right. I gotta be. At the time, it was like I was trying to be perfect. I felt like at that time I was trying to be really perfect, where in the sense of I was trying to do everything right. I was trying not to do nothing wrong. I was just trying to be the perfect human, like not knowing that there's no such thing as a perfect person. There's no man on earth that's perfect. We are all gonna make mistakes, and that's why I think that God kept letting me fall at them times. And it was times where I even fell back into it heavier. When I moved to Atlanta, when I had moved to Atlanta, this was probably about 2 years in. So let me start from the beginning again. Not from the beginning, but when I first started, it was hard. Couldn't do it. Started getting to my religious bag. I'm doing it, but it felt weird because at the time, I wasn't talking to no girls. I wasn't talking to no girl. I wasn't even trying to talk to no girl. I was like, I gotta be perfect, gotta be perfect. God is gonna send me my girl and things of that nature. Not knowing that you gotta become the person who attract the girl that you looking for. But more or less, I'm in my religious bag. I'm real religious about things, and I'm just, God, everything, God, and just in trying to follow the right way. So this is probably 2 years in. I'm working. I just got a job. Before that, I used to I used to hustle in the streets. I used to do my thing. Not hustle like sell weed or sell crack or anything in that nature, but I was just a natural born hustler. So I'm working now, and I'm following God. I'm doing my thing. I'm working on getting better every day. I'm working out. I am getting better every day. I was getting better every single day, and that's what I noticed, that all of it added up. So I'm getting better every day, and I decided to move to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta, and I'm doing great. And this is before like I discovered that we got an other side, or we got like our brain will try to do everything to sabotage you, and that's your old self. When you moving on in life, you gotta learn how to ignore, or you gotta learn how to just not to know when it's your old self talking, and know that it's your old self trying to hold you back. I didn't know that at the time. So I went to Atlanta, and my old self was pulling me, boy. I kept looking at videos of people from my past. I kept looking at all that, and everything was just adding up mentally. So the only comfort I had in Atlanta was releasing. So I was releasing every minute of the day. And at that time it got worse. It got prevalently worse. I was just every day and just feeding my brain the negative things, and it was a lot. So long story less long, I decided to come back to New York and come back home to where I was living at. And I was going through, at first it was rough, because like I lost it, but my apartment, I don't have it no more. I'm back to my mom's crib, and it just felt rough, especially when you left, because I left because I wanted to better myself, and I knew I couldn't better myself in that environment, right? So I came back, and when I came back, I was doing good. Like, I think I did 2 weeks semen retention. I did 2 weeks semen retention, and then I fapped. Boom. So it was like an up and down thing, and then I think that's when I started this channel. I started this channel because I wanted an outlet. Because at that time, it felt like it was only me. And I was going through so much in my head that it was like I was killing myself with negative thoughts. So I'm like, I want to release it somewhere. I want to talk about it some way, somehow. And that's why I started this channel. When you go back to the beginning, you see me talking about my daily blogs and talking about what I go through, what I've been doing, and how I've been getting better. And that's when I started this. And when I started this, I did a monk challenge, monk mode. I went into monk mode. Basically, I shaved my head, and if you go all the way back into old episodes, you can go and actually see me shaving my head. I forgot what episode it is, but it's an old episode. It's down there somewhere, and it's me shaving my head. But me shaving my head and going to monk mode did something, because I did them 30 days, and that was the first time I ever did 30 days semen retention. I did 30 days. And I realized the whole time I was on semen retention while I was on monk mode, every time I wanted to do something, or I had an urge, I looked at my bald head. And when I looked at my bald head, I said, I'm doing this for something. And at the time, I didn't realize that whenever you're doing semen retention, you need to do it for something. You can't just do it to try to be perfect. You can't do it for female attraction. You can't do it for nothing else besides you. Nothing else besides you. So, I got through them 30 days. I remember I shaved my head. I shaved all my hair. I kept my beard though. And I went in monk mode. I kept my do-rag on. I'm at work, bald-headed, all that. Did 30 days. And that was when I feel like everything shifted. Because after I did 30 days, I started thinking different. Now that I look back, I'm starting to look at it and thinking like, I started thinking really different in the sense of, I started thinking more independent for me. Cause at the job that I used to work at, they used to do this thing called furlough, where they used to keep you off of work for a couple of months or weeks. And when they did that to me this time, I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. And my mom, she the type of person where she want to like enforce things, and that was the first time in my life that I made a real decision for me. Well, it wasn't, because the first time I did was when I went to Atlanta. But that was the first time in my life where I went against her decision and made my decision. And I said, no, I'm not going back. And it was a whole thing, and that's why I went through. And I could have stayed there too. All I had to do was get my job and stay at the crib. But I said, nah, I want my own. So that's why I put myself through the hardship and went to the shelter. And in there, while I was on semen retention, it taught me a lot. Cause Let me go back to how it taught me after 30 days first. It taught me to just count on myself more. To bet on myself more, that I can get things done. That if I truly put my mind to it, I can get things done. That I want more out of life. And where I was holding me back. It showed me so much. When you want semen retention, it builds this primal energy. And that's why they say that people use semen retention to get whatever they want out of life, because it just gives you just this energy of like, if it's not for me, or if it's not the best thing for me, it's not for me at all. And you just leave, and you it's like you leave that soul shit to the side. So, long story less long, I said, all right, it's not rebel. I did what's best for me. And I said, all right, I'm going to the shelter. I went to the shelter because, I learned that you could get up on whatever through the shelter. And I went, and while I was in there on semen retention, I noticed a lot. Because every single time that I would every time that I would relapse, everything around me would just be different. The energy of the people around me would be different. The energy of me would be different. Every time I held my energy, I realized when I was in there, I was more in like a more masculine energy. I was in a more masculine energy in the sense of I wasn't there to play. I knew what I came there for, and I knew what I was going. I was there for, and that's what I was only striving to get. I wasn't there to make friends. I wasn't there for nothing else. And that built up something in me too. It built up that I got the grit to get through anything. But talking about the semen, we're gonna talk about the semen retention aspect of being in while I'm in there. The semen retention aspect and what it taught me while I was in there. While I was on it, everybody in my face. All the girls in my face, everybody in my face. I'm talking about, it's hard to get people out my face. It was hard, and when I'm on semen retention in there, it was hard to get me not to do what I said I'm gonna do. Semen retention, when I was in there, it was I learned more. It was less about being perfect and more about doing it to keep my energy. And that's what I was doing it for while I was in the shelter, because I realized that when you want semen retention, you have energy to get everything and anything that you want to get done. Because you're not wasting it on corn, or you're not wasting it on just a random girl. And I say, yo, you know what? I'm gonna use this energy. So the whole time I was in there, don't get me wrong, I was releasing sometimes, of course. It was times I was releasing. But most of the time I was holding. Not even knowing that me holding was me creating a life that I wanted to live. Because while I was in there, people talk about manifesting and that it's not real, but I believe in manifesting. It's just how you manifest, because you gotta I feel like I manifested my apartment in Atlanta, but I didn't become the person to mentally keep it. So that's why when you manifesting, it builds you. You gotta build it. Like if you really want something, life is gonna build you, break you up, break you down to build you right back up, so you can sustain whatever you holding now. Now I feel comfortable in where I'm at now. I feel very comfortable where I'm at now. I'm thankful for where I'm at. I don't feel scared. It was like, it's just different feelings, and you learn all of that through the ups and downs of life. So while I was in there, I'm manifesting. I'm writing down. I started writing a lot. Even before that, I had journals. I have multiple journals. Look, I got multiple journals. Hold on, let me show y'all. And this ain't even half of them. This ain't even a third of them. That ain't even a third of them. Look, hold on. Multiple journals, and this is 95% of these is all written while I was in the shelter. You get what I'm saying? So it was written while I was in the shelter. So the whole time I was in there, I was just writing down, learning my emotions, learning more about me, and learning more about myself while I'm on semen retention and journaling. So it helped me to understand like the benefits that I was gaining on semen retention and the cons that I was noticing whenever I do release. So, you know, long story less long, I get through there. And I'm still, you know, like, no, before I leave, right? This is one thing that I learned too. Every single time that I get super crazy urges or something, I just feel like I have one of them tight days where I'm just like, I'm just not in the mood. Something good is always around the corner. I swear. It's like every time I'm in one of the moods, something good around the corner and something trying to stop me from getting it.
I'm hungry.
We should order some fried chicken.
You get what I'm saying? So, once I realized that, I said, oh yeah, I'm not gonna let them days where I feel super bad tear me down to do something that I don't want to do no more. And that's what I learned right before I got here. But don't get me wrong, right before I got here, I was going through one of them days, a fact, and then the next day they called me from my apartment to come move in. And before that, when I was in the shelter and some shit had happened and I was going through like a rough day, and I released. You know what I mean? Did my thing, released. The next day they called me and they said they had something for me. So I'm starting to realize that every time I feel like you feel like it's super pressure on me, I'm realizing to not fall victim to the pressure no more. And learn that every time it's pressure on me, it's something good around the corner waiting. So just wait it out. Just wait it out. Cause you're gonna feel much better if you continue doing what you're doing and you see the good. So ever since I got here, it was like the first month after I got here, I went on a crazy binge. I'm talking about I'm just releasing, I'm not getting the work done, I'm just watching cartoons, I'm just not working out. I'm like, yo, what's going on? For like 2 weeks strong, just not doing nothing, just releasing. And then I realized, it hit me. I said, oh shit. It randomly hit me too. I said, oh shit. My semen is me releasing is depleting my creative energy. And my creative energy is not creative in the sense of making music or being artful, which that helps too, but creative in the sense of creating the life that I want to live for me. See, when you have this energy, you have the energy to go do anything that you want to do. And that's what I'm learning now, man. Because before, I think that I got so deep in my religious bag that I was trying to be perfect and I was lying to myself. But ever since I've been doing more research and more understanding what God is, and understanding, the power that I got and the power that I receive is from God. And that God is within me, and God is with everybody. We just have to go to him, and go to him is sitting in silence a lot of the times. Meditation. Doing the shit that the rich people tell you works, but the poor people laugh at. Doing that shit. Learning more that your mind is one of the most powerful thing in this world. Your mind is the most powerful thing in this world. So when you wasting your energy, you wasting the life force that you can use to create the life that you want to live. If you want to be a millionaire, whatever, you can use that energy to create that. But while you're creating that, you're going to create the person who can sustain that. Creating that, and you're creating the energy to sustain that. And that's what I have learned recently. That's what I learned recently. And I learned that in a weird way through integrating more of my shadow side with just being me. I used to think my shadow side was bad. Like I used to, we look at lust like it's a bad thing sometimes. But I feel like it's trying to teach you something. It's trying to teach you how to control the beast within you. Cause you could let your lust run free and run wild. But learn how to control it. And don't suppress it neither. Cause when you suppress it, it's only gonna come out in different forms. And when you learn how to, and if you don't control it, it's gonna control you. It's gonna control you. So when you on semen retention, you get this energy of like, all right, cool. I know what I'm on, and I know what I want. But I know mainly who I am. I know that I want to be a billionaire. I know I want to be whatever I want to be in life. But does that make me who I am? No. That don't. So I learned that when I'm on semen retention, I let my shadow side run a little wild. Meaning that I go outside, I talk to women, I talk to different women, I interact with different women. I go out, I go out on dates, I have fun. I do what I want to do, what I want to do, but I control it in the sense of, all right, I'm not gonna go on. You don't even, when you, and that's another thing too, when you let your shadow side wild and you start talking to women, different things like that, you're not gonna wanna go fat. You might wanna sleep with a girl, but after you start to feel this high that I got, it was like, when you start to understand what you're using the energy for, you get this certain type of high. You get like a craving for it, for life again. I can't explain the shit. And I want to explain it so bad, but you just gotta go out there and do this shit. But you just get this craving for fucking life. Where it's like I know this is it. I know this is it. This is the energy I gotta be in. So, yeah, I be wanting to, do my thing, sleep with women. But you start to ask yourself, is women more important than the life that you want to live? And then you start to say, once you start to realize this, hell no. You start to get in that zone where it's like, all right, I'm getting back in my zone now. I know what I gotta do. Cause it's like this, especially like when you know that you're using it to create life. I cannot explain it. I don't know if the energy goes straight to my head or go to your head and keep you high, or if it give you the energy to, I don't know. But it's a way how you gotta do it. And the way how I was doing it on semen retention is, when I'm on semen retention now, I just don't let nothing bother me, man. Cause I realized that when you're on semen retention, if you don't know how to control your anger, that was one thing that will burn you up. So you can't let nothing bother you. And you gotta just have this positive mindset, You gotta have a positive mindset. Like, fuck it, shit happened. Knowing that everything is gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Day by day, it's gonna get better. Sometimes life might show you shit that is like, oh shit, this shit look like it's about to crash. Don't think negative, man. If it look like it's about to crash, be like, you know what? That's just the old energy wiping itself out and the new energy bringing itself in, man. So I've been on a long journey of just doing semen retention on and off for a while now. And I've been learning a lot. And the last thing I really learned is, when you use semen retention for the right cause or right purpose, it gives you this energy where it's intoxicating. It feels like you can conquer the world, which you can. It feels like, I just can't explain it, man. You gotta just go out there and go do it. Just go out there and go do it, cause trust me, I've smoked weed. I did shrooms. I tried LSD once before. Listen, man, I fucking did DAZ'S, and shrooms make you feel good about yourself, but nothing make you feel better about yourself or give you that type of high about yourself than when you know you doing what you supposed to be doing for yourself. Nothing in life gives you that high. So, my name DAZ'S, man, and this is my journal. We're not treating it like a show no more. We're not treating it like an info channel. We're gonna treat this like a real journal from now on. I'm out of here, man. Peace.